Hi, everybody. Sister Jen. I apologize coming on late. A lot of traffic out there. I guess everybody's trying to get to the store because of this storm or whatever. Not even a storm, winter advisory. But how you doing? So tonight, as I said on Sunday, at Sunday service, that it's February. And what's February? Black History Month. And Sister Jen loves this month because I get to research unknown facts or present to you on people or inventions or what they did for us Black people before us. So I love it. I just really love it. I just like researching it, and I feel like it's so fascinating, and just to know like what I don't know or what just and so I can tell everybody else that don't know, like be in awe. But um I love it. I love history. Like, and I even said one day I'm gonna go ahead and do the ancestry.com. I just love it. Like I just feel like what did they do back then? And and how these times we have the technology and stuff like that, and will we be able to live like the way they did back in the day, like in like 1800s or the early 1900s, or even the 50s or 60s and so on. But so this is I love researching this. But anywho, I can just tell you that about that. So tonight I will be presenting um Mr. Wallace Amos Jr., aka Wally Amos. And you know who that is, you guys? Mr. Amos, what? He's known as the inventor of the famous Amos Cookie Company. And so I have a few facts about him. Well, a lot of facts. This guy, he's awesome. Like, I didn't even know it was a Black man that owned or bought up famous Amos. Did not know that. Honestly, I thought he was white, you guys. Honestly. See, they don't teach us everything in school or whatnot. So leave it up to Sister Jen. I'm gonna let you know. And um, so this is who I'm presenting tonight on my first night of my Black History Month. And so Mr. Wallace Amos Jr., which was born on July 1st, 1936, and passed away as of last year. Didn't know. And they didn't even put it on the media really. And if they did, you guys maybe seen it, but I know I didn't. So I'm just saying. He passed away on August 14th, 2024, of complications of dementia. And he was born in Tallahassee, Florida, which when he passed away in Honolulu, Hawaii, where he lived. So I'm going to give him first. I'm going to start off with his early childhood. His dad was a senior, Wallace Amos Senior. He was a electricity utility worker, and his mom Ruby was an illiterate domestic worker. Um, Wally didn't really learn how to read until the early later on in his childhood, because he was I guess because in the home they didn't really, well, mom couldn't read. Back in the day, you know you couldn't read, and it was forbidden. um in 1948, after his parents split, he moved to the Big Apple, y'all. He moved to the Big Apple with um his aunt Della Bryant, who actually used to make cookies in her out of her home. She used to make chocolate chip cookies and pecan cookies. Hold on. And so she taught Mr. Amos how to make cookies or whatnot, and he loved it. And he loved growing up in her home. Um, and he loved to bake. Let me see. That's what that I researched. He loved to bake. And he grew up in poverty, but he felt wealthy because his aunt, the qualities in the home, as he quoted, living with his aunt Della, he felt wealthy in the principles and the qualities that she taught him, and that she made him feel comfortable and made him feel welcomed in the new city where he moved to and lived. He later on enrolled in the food trade, into a food trade vocational high school, which he dropped out in his senior year, y'all. Then he enlisted and he served our country for the U.S. Air Force, and that was for 4 years. And which he was stationed in Hawaii. I guess he grew to love Hawaii, so he ended up living there. Because remember, before I mentioned he lived there and he passed away in Hawaii. And so in 1957, he returned to New York City to work in the stockroom of in the stockroom of Saks Fifth Avenue, y'all. And he returned to work there in New York City, and he worked at the Saks Fifth Avenue. And he worked in a mailroom at this talent agency company called William Morris Agency, which it seemed that it was more white people that worked in this company. And Wally, as aka Wally, that's we call him Wally. He worked there at the in the mailroom at William Morris Agency, which it was a prestige agency that you didn't find too many African Americans working there. So in 1962, after working there for a few years, he got promoted, numerous promotions. Mr. Amos had received. He was the first black, hold on, y'all. He was the first black talent agent. He moved from the mailroom to a talent agent at this prestigious white talent agency. And he made history out of this in the company. He was the first black talent agency. And so I have a few facts. Y'all gonna be shocked. Mr. Wally was busy. Um, and he wasn't just an entrepreneur for cookies. Let me just let y'all know. He was a talent agent. He discovered Simon and Garfunkel, which is now, Paul Simon. Yes, the infamous Paul Simon. Mr. Wally, he discovered them. And also Garfunkel, he was the writer. He worked he sung side by side or composed side by side with Paul Simon. And they were a good duo. Sorry, backtrack. They were a folk rock duo. The singer and they were songwriters. And Paul Simon, their best-selling acts was in the 1960s, their songs. And so they did so well in the company, which I mentioned. Miss Wally made the first black talent agent. What's next? They made him head of the rock and roll department. When you hear about really a lot of black people in rock and roll, Tina Turner, yes, and Jimi Hendrix, yes, but it's not a lot of us, y'all, that does rock and roll. And look, the other night, Beyonce won for her Cowboy album the other night with the Grammy. So anything is possible, for our color. And so, and also, before I get off with the talent agent, he also discovered, hold on, y'all. He also helped discover the Supremes. The Supremes. And I was shocked. Like, because I always hear about Paul Simon because my dad, he listens to his music because my dad likes folk music and rock and roll or whatnot. But a lot of Caribbean people, they like country music, and which I do too. I like different genres of music. But Mr. Wally helped discover the Supremes. Um, After a few years of the being the head of the department, excuse me. But he worked also with Diana Ross, Marvin Gaye, and Sam Cooke. Oh, I love me some Sam Cooke. And um, so in 1967, excuse me, in 1967, he left the company and he moved to LA, Los Angeles. Yes, he had a dream and he wanted to start up his own personnel management business, which didn't do so well. And he struggled. And so what Wally did, he went back to his roots. He started baking cookies, y'all, and chocolate chip cookies. And he tweaked the rest of his Della's recipe a little bit. He tweaked it a little bit and he started selling them. And he did that for his therapy because he was down and out. But again, remember in his childhood when he baked with his aunt, that bought him, like, he was wealthy. He raised his spirits. So he felt like it was his therapy. And so he started baking and he'll bring his cookies to the meetings at work at his management company up until, if he got into debt or whatnot. And so he had to close that. And so he brought back with his culinary skills and what he learned from his aunt or whatnot. And so he left. So he stopped doing that, and he said it was everyone was wanting his cookies. He thought of the idea, hey, why not open a store? And so he planned to open the store, and he was able, and guess who front him the money, you guys, and believed in him. And he opened up a store. Marvin Gaye and Helen Reddy helped him start up his business, his first cookie store, the Famous Amos Cookie Store. And guess where it was at? On Sunset Boulevard in Los Angeles. By the age of 38, Mr. Wallace, he opened up 2 more stores in California, in Los Angeles. In March of 1975, he opened up his first store. And then shortly, he opened up 2 more. And then it got so big and famous and successful as him being an entrepreneur. He started selling his cookies in New York in Bloomingdale's, in the Bloomingdale's department store, as his gourmet cookies, his Famous Amos gourmet cookies start selling in Bloomingdale's in New York City. But unfortunately, bad news. In 1985, he mismanaged the business and he was forced to sell parts of his company, which in 1988, a company called, was it Shansby Group? They bought his brand, but they let Mr. Amos be a spokesperson for the cookies, the cookie company. But in 1998, he wasn't doing so bad though. Now, and then too, I'm sorry, before I announced this, the Shansby Group, they made his cookies at a lower price. But in 1998, the Keebler company bought the Famous Amos brand. And he still had his hand in the company. He was still making his money, but the Keebler company bought his brand, and he was successful, but he was still the spokesperson. And I'm sorry, I have my little notes. I should have had this together. Okay, sorry. And in 1991, he tried to start a new business, but he had another idea to for another cookie company, which the Shansby Group, they sued him, and unfortunately, he had, because he violated the agreement, the contract, because he was just supposed to be the spokesperson. And if Mr. Amos wasn't thinking, because you're going to be your own competition. So, but he probably felt like, hey, you bought it from me, so why not try to make some more money? But see how they try to shut you down? White man try to hold you down, but couldn't stop him because he kept moving. So Mr. Amos started in the mid 1990s. He worked with other partners. He started making these healthy muffins, which exists to this day, which is Uncle Wally's Family Muffins, and which produced a homemade style of healthy eating with muffins. And then he was actually on Shark Tank, y'all. In January 2018, he presented this another cookie idea, which is called the Cookie Kahuna, the Cookie Kahuna, and he also brought out a business also, and brought out a brand named after his great late aunt, Aunt Della. And he said that was Mr. Amos' last business, the Aunt Della brand. And this man was 80 years old when he appeared on the Shark Tank. And he just passed away last year, so he was 88. And he kept going. He was an entrepreneur. Nothing stopped him. Nothing. Poverty, nothing stopped him. And so he became also a literacy advocate. He felt like, and George W., he felt like everyone should know how to read. Kids should know how to read, and parents should read to their kids starting at 6, even in the womb. He felt that. And so he used to read on weekends to the children at a local shop that he had. And he was a motivational speaker. And George W. Bush presented him for the Literacy Award in 1991 for his efforts. And I think it brought him back to his childhood, because his mom couldn't read. And then later on in his childhood, he learned how to read. So he was an advocate. He spoke for the people that couldn't read or had a hard time reading or understanding. So Mr. Wallace did a whole lot for us as Black people, and things that I didn't even know. And so they said that he worked in organizations like Read to Me International and the YMCA and the Literacy Volunteers of America. And I just remember, like, Monsalta would have the grandparents come in at Eagle and read to the kids, and then when you walk through the hallways, you see the books and stuff. So kids love books. That's their imagination. You can go off in the books and just imagine, and it'll take you away from what you're going through at home or whatever you're going through. So Mr. Wallace also was a spokesperson for literacy. And so I wanted to, it's much more, but I just wanted to present to you tonight. And he has a few quotes, but I wanted to read one of the quotes that Mr. Wallace quote, Wally. It says, "I believe, along with many others, that you must first ask for what you want before you can have it." Quoted by Wallace Amos Jr., Famous Amos, aka Wally. He is the man. So tonight, Jennifer, Sister Jen want to present, how you doing? I wanted to present Mr. Famous Amos, because I did not know he invented the Famous Amos cookies, that yellow box or whatnot. Even though I don't eat cookies, but I was just intrigued because I didn't know, and I wanted to present to y'all tonight. And so this is Sister Jen, and I hope you enjoyed. And I know that was an unknown fact for me, and maybe for y'all too. So signing off, and I'll see y'all Sunday. You know I had something good on Sunday for y'all. Love y'all. How you doing?